Good afternoon. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission.
It's not on.
Is it not on?
Now it is.
Yes. Good afternoon. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cable cast live without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel on the Comcast, SureWest, and Strategic Technologies cable systems, and webcast live on www.saccounty.net. Today's meeting will be repeated Saturday, March 8th at 1:30 p.m. A VHS copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. This meeting is also closed caption. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker identification form located in the back table and give it to the secretary. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Roll call, please.
Dickinson. Waters.
Yeah.
Natoli. Morin. McCarty.
Here.
Yee.
Here.
Sheedy.
Here.
Williams for Peters.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Walter for McGlashan. Leary.
Here.
Do we have ex officio McCarby? Hello. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we all please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1.
Our first item is closed exec session, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision B of section 54956.91 case. We do have the room upstairs on the second floor.
Okay, great. We'll be going into closed session then. Thank you. Okay, we're back. Is this on?
Not yet. Yeah.
We're back from closed session. There's no reportable action. Moving on to item number 2.
Our next item is item 2. Strategic Technologies Incorporated, STI, asset transfer and license terminations. And we have a resolution to adopt.
Good afternoon. Bob Davison, your Executive Director. In December, we received a request from STI to have their assets transferred to Comcast. Just so you know, they have 2 licenses right now. One's in Rancho Cordova, and the other's in Natomas in the city of Sacramento. And right now, Comcast already has a franchise and several licenses, so there does not need to be any transfer of license, but they have requested that their assets be transferred to Comcast. Such action requires your Commission's approval. Before you today is a resolution that authorizes this asset transfer. Similar to previous asset transfers, this resolution also conditions this transfer of assets. The main conditions are that subscribers that would be affected, who are currently STI subscribers, would be notified within 60 days of closing. Provide that in 12 months, services provided to the former STI customers meet Commission universal service requirements. Currently, Commission requirements require that that all subscribers be subject to the same services and prices and that sort of thing. So this would require that if Comcast picks up the subscribers from STI, that they be subject to these universal service requirements. One of the important points, and this is different than asset transfers that you've seen in the past, is that the resolution would preserve STI's participation in BestNet. Just quickly, STI provided fibers, 2 fibers to many schools that they provided BestNet services to. And this would provide that those fibers stay in place and be maintained by Comcast, and also provides that 2 fibers be provided for the new H. Allen High School, which was a commitment that that STI was going to be required to make. And also, STI will remit appropriate fees to the Commission. With that, it's my understanding that STI and Comcast are in agreement with everything that's before your Commission today, but representatives from both STI and Comcast are here in the audience and may speak to this item if they wish. The resolution authorizes that they have till August 2009 to close this transaction, so we're not sure exactly when this transaction would close. With that, I recommend that you adopt today's resolution approving the transfer, and certainly I can, or the STI or Comcast can answer any questions that you might have.
I do have a speaker request form, but are there any questions from the Commission to staff? Okay, Lisa Halko, I believe it is.
Yes. Lisa Halko for STI, and I just wanted to make sure that I was available to answer any questions the Commission may have. I understand that you have the public interest to think about in addition to the franchising law, so I wanted to make sure that you were assured that we have worked very cooperatively with Comcast to make sure that there is continuity of service for our subscribers, to make sure that there is continuity of service for the schools that are concerned, and also to make sure that the employees are well placed. Of our 3 employees, 1 will return to our home office in Miami, and Comcast has graciously agreed to accept applications from the other 2 and to do everything fair to give them a smooth transition as well. Are there questions?
Mr. Yee, go ahead.
Just a question on fees. Are the fees very similar between the 2 companies? And if not, what happens?
Well, the fees are regulated by this Commission.
The fees are?
Fees for what?
Aren't there there are standard rates?
No, I heard that.
No, the fees, you do only minimal rate regulation, so that the fees basically would be migrated to the same fees that Comcast has right now. I'm not sure what how STI's fees relate to Comcast fees at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 3.
Thank you. Our next item is AT&T's franchise status, PEG carriage, interconnect, and franchise fees.
Okay, Bob Davis, excuse me, I'm having some mic trouble. Hello?
Cable Commission Director Cutoff. Change seats. Certain
Testing. Well, yeah, I'll just talk into here.
poetic justice in that.
Yeah.
No voice for the.
I kind of noticed that in the first presentation. I was hearing a lot of strangeness, but I wasn't sure if anybody else was hearing it. I didn't see any reaction, so I wasn't sure what was going on. I'll make this quick and then turn this over to Harriet. I had several things I wanted to...
She just turned it on, Bob.
Working now, Bob. Turned it on for you.
All right, well,
Watch move back over.
I'll stay here and then move over there and then...
Go, just move back over there.
Don't touch any buttons.
Wrong.
There you go.
Okay, turn it off.
Okay, well, is this a Cable Commission meeting?
No, that's Three Stooges.
Okay, I was going to quickly update you on the interconnect issue. As you know, in order for AT&T to provide the PEG channels, one vehicle would be an interconnect with Comcast, and that's actually contemplated in the state legislation that was approved in 2006. So, and I think you also know that AT&T and Comcast have been in discussions about interconnect, and I don't believe those discussions are complete. Both AT&T and Comcast are here today, so they certainly may speak to this, but it sounds to me like they may be getting closer to an interconnect agreement. I know that there was one issue that Comcast did not want AT&T to access the PEG channels at their head end, and AT&T called me and asked if I could maybe facilitate finding another place that they could access the PEG content, and they were thinking maybe one of the PEG providers might be would be a good idea. The first one that came to mind was KVIE. Well, Metro Cable, our certainly conditions are a little bit cramped, but I thought KVIE might be a good solution, and so I talked to David Halsley before he left, actually. He's no longer with KVIE, and he thought it was a good idea, so I facilitated a meeting with KVIE and AT&T, and it seems to be that there will be some sort of understanding that could be worked out between the two, so that if Comcast and AT&T agree to an interconnect, then it's likely that AT&T can access the signals at KVIE and then transfer it to their system. And so that's the report I have right now. It's my understanding that there's no current agreement in place between AT&T and Comcast or AT&T and KVIE, but it does sound to me like things are getting closer. Okay, I also wanted to report that we did receive our first state franchise fees from AT&T. And we received it was for the last quarter of 2007, and we received a total of $12,326. Most of it in the city of Sacramento, about $10,390, about $1,861 in the city of Folsom, and then $73 in the city of Citrus Heights.
That'll keep us in the black.
They've also notified us for service in Rancho Cordova and the County of Sacramento, but we did not receive any franchise fees for those territories yet. So I assume that means that they have not started service, or just they didn't collect make any revenues in those areas in that last quarter of last year. And with that, that's the extent of my update on the AT&T state franchise. But also I wanted to turn it over to Harriet Steiner to talk about the PEG carriage issues. Oh, sure.
Mr. Laird, just a question before you go, Harriet. On the franchise fees from AT&T, says $12,000 for the last quarter and about $10,000 for the city. Do you have any equivalent as far as how many people it is, how many customers? Do we have any?
I don't.
Indication as far as the market saturation?
Yeah, and that's there's one. Di and I were talking. We're probably going to correspond with AT&T about what type of information that we can get in that regard. But without doing calculations based on assumptions of their services costs, I really don't have any information on that, on subscribers, number of subscribers.
That works out to 1 for us.
Any other questions? Harriet?
As the Commission is aware, over your last several meetings, we've been discussing AT&T's proposal for Channel 99 and PEG, Public Educational and Government Channel carriage on their system. And as Bob was just saying, they are very close to interconnect, which would allow them to actually put the channels onto their system. And we're hoping that that will happen very, very soon. We've been discussing whether or not their plan for Channel 99 meets the requirements of the state franchising law. And at your last meeting, AT&T gave you a letter that went on at length about why they believe that their Channel 99 proposal is compliant with state law. And we wanted to get back to you because we looked at their letter in some detail, and we wanted to respond to that letter and to ask, and hopefully to be able to answer any questions that the Commission might have. So the first issue, of course, is until there's an interconnect, they don't have an actual obligation to provide the channels. But we do believe they have an obligation to continue to pursue interconnect, and that's why your executive director has been assisting in that manner, because we do believe that PEG is an important community asset, and it should be available to all cable subscribers, whether they're state franchise subscribers or your local incumbent Comcast subscribers. So we're hoping that that will happen very soon. With respect to the individual channels and Channel 99, it continues to be our opinion that their proposal does not meet state law because it doesn't have the same functionality and the same robustness as the channels do on the cable system, the Comcast cable system. And for example, the picture itself is comes through in a slower manner, so the picture itself is not as good. You cannot use the buttons to go back and forth between the channels. You can't record the programming on your TiVos or DVRs. You can't have closed captioning on the programming. So we think that there are numerous issues that affect many people with respect to how they're going to be able to view all of the PEG channels on the AT&T system. And so, we provided you a memo that goes through their letter and some of the issues that were raised in their letter. And we're going to continue to follow this issue. We have been discussing this issue with other cities and counties up and down California, because this is a statewide issue, and we'll continue to report back to you on this issue.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I do have a request to speak. Tim Ray.
Is there a button to push, Bob? Oh.
I wouldn't know.
Good afternoon, Tim Ray with AT&T. AT&T continues to work hard to bring the residents of Sacramento advanced next-generation services, including a new choice for video through our UVerse IPTV product. And as required by DIVCA, AT&T has been negotiating in good faith to interconnect its network with that of the incumbent cable provider, Comcast, for the purpose of providing PEG programming for the County of Sac, City of Sac, Citrus Heights, Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Folsom, and Galt. As a result of these discussions, AT&T and Comcast have agreed on a technical design to facilitate the interconnection for the 7 Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Commission channels. AT&T will install TV1 circuits at Comcast's Roseville Road head-end location, where Comcast can hand off the signals to AT&T. We, AT&T, will then transport these signals to an Smctc site, potentially KVIE, where the standard encoding equipment will be placed by AT&T for all 7 channels. AT&T and Comcast agree that the cost of these TV1 circuits will be borne by AT&T, as will the one-time installation charge necessary to complete the handoff at the head end, and any incremental cost of making this connection. Substantial progress has been made, but there remains one critical issue upon which AT&T and Comcast cannot agree. Specifically, whether AT&T is obligated to pay for the maintenance of Comcast infrastructure to deliver the 7 channels to their head end before the handoff to AT&T. AT&T does not believe that the cost of interconnection, as specified in DIVCA, includes the costs incurred by Comcast for maintaining and operating their existing network. In essence, Comcast is asking AT&T to subsidize its ongoing costs for their existing PEG infrastructure. AT&T does not believe that the legislature, when it enacted DIVCA, contemplated that a new video provider would be forced to subsidize the incumbent competitor to gain PEG access. AT&T should pay no more than the directly caused incremental costs of this interconnection as described by DIVCA. As noted, we believe we have complied with DIVCA by negotiating in good faith with Comcast. We have agreed to pay as interconnection costs the expense of these TV1 circuits, the one-time charge for interconnection, and any incremental cost to Comcast of getting the signal from their head end to the interconnection point. So a little slight difference from what Bob had indicated. We are actually taking the signal from Comcast at their head end. We will bring in the required TV1 circuits. We will take their signal. We'll transport it all the way across town to KVIE. We'll bring it into KVIE. We'll put the encoders in there. And from there, we'll take it and transport it to our network and broadcast it. The issue is around the cost of the ongoing programming infrastructure that already exists at Comcast that AT&T disagrees with paying. And that's where we stand. Any questions on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Cooper.
Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento and also Regional Treasurer for the Alliance for Community Media. And I just wanted to kind of also provide kind of a 30,000-foot view of what's going on. It seems, again, for those of us with a little gray on our heads, here we go again, you know, in terms of the Sacramento franchise, and we're kind of snake bit by potential litigation and on and on. The first document I just passed out, entitled Public Education and Government PEG Access for AT&T's UVerse Noncompliance Summary, is just a one-page bullet of the problems that Harriet was alluding to, in the sense of how the PEG channels are planned to be carried by AT&T throughout California. This document is being created by the Utility Ratepayers Association for briefing to the California Public Utilities Commission. So this is not just Sacramento, it's cities as they're impacted by the UVerse service statewide. And the PUC is being briefed, though in the DIVCA legislation, it's important to be reminded that the PUC, by language in the DIVCA legislation, was prohibited to act in any way regarding the PEG channels. All other areas of state legislation on state franchising, PUC can be involved, but they were specifically told not to be involved. So there's a question of how to proceed, but the briefings are going on, and this, I think, is a simple one-page summary of the kind of complications. This is not a minor issue. This is a major issue, because if this is allowed to stand, then you'll be seeing the other services eventually diminishing the PEG channels and basically making them unwatchable. The second document that I gave, entitled NATOA Survey Impact of State Video Services Legislation, this is just recently published by the National Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisors. NATOA is the professional organization for government access nationwide. And you might think, gee, Bob, Harriet, can't you pick a fight with somebody else? I mean, here, you know, AT&T, that's pretty big time. We just wanted to brief you from NATOA's 30,000-foot vantage point that this is a national issue. As they've identified here, they did a survey of 14 states that have been impacted by basically the same legislation that was initiated by AT&T. Each state has variations, California being one of the tougher. Illinois is probably the toughest. But I offer the information there, and just on the middle of the second page, the result of the survey of NATOA with local franchise authorities in those 14 states. The whole point of this exercise was to bring competition to the local consumer. Competition is good, rates will drop. That's why all the rules have to change, and the urgency of doing that. So far, as it states, overall, 82% of the local franchise authorities do not believe that state video legislation is having a positive impact on their community. 90% believe that PEG programming is not being treated in an equitable manner by new entrants. And 97% believe that customer service has not improved under state supervision. Just to keep you abreast that we're not in this alone. Statewide and nationwide, this is an issue that's of critical importance, and we appreciate your continued vigilance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Item number 4.
Item 4, staff status report. We have topics of litigation, legislation, commission staffing, meeting schedule, pooled investment fund policy, Metro Cable, and miscellaneous. And we do have some resolutions to adopt.
Okay, and I was going to defer the first status report on litigation to Harriet Steiner.
We wanted to report out to you that pursuant to the authority you gave us at your last meeting, we have settled the lawsuit that the Commission brought against Comcast with respect to the audit. And that matter is settled, and a settlement agreement is available from the clerk if anybody wants it.
Thank you.
Okay, the second status report is on legislation. There's really nothing new on state legislation. Federal legislation, there's nothing new except for the FCC adopted a second order. There are some questions about whether this order would affect states where there's state franchising laws. Their first order clearly did not, and the second order could have an effect of having FCC orders that somehow trump state franchising. This is an issue that is still developing, so I just wanted to bring it up to your commission, and we're, through Rich Esposito, are currently, we'll keep monitoring these situations and bring you any updates that we may have.
Great. Any questions? Okay. Item number 5.
Well, actually, I have a few more staff reports. There's several sub-items under.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Commission staffing, as I was not happy about reporting at the last meeting, Diane Graber is leaving, and she still intends to leave, much to my many attempts to stop that from happening. Seeing that it wasn't successful, and I let your commission know about the selection process, we thought we'd start, I brought in Rich Esposito to help out in the process. We did an informal selection process, and many of you, I think you all saw the emails updating you on the situation and certainly asking to refer people to me. Through that informal process, we did receive 9 inquiries and many really good-looking candidates, and so we are currently going through the process of interviewing some of those candidates. I had Rich Esposito do an initial screening, and I'm currently with the panel interviewing candidates, and I'm hoping that within the next several weeks that we will find a successful candidate, and I will certainly announce that when that happens.
Great, thanks.
Meeting schedule, we're recommending that you cancel the April and May meetings, and that we would have a June meeting, but because of conflicts, I'm recommending that it be moved to June 19th, and there's a resolution associated with that, with those changes.
Got
it. The pooled investment policy, it's just, this is a standard resolution that that comes up about every year, that we're just working with the county. We are in the county's pooled investment funds, and so it's a resolution that's required of all entities that are in such pooled funds. And then Metro Cable, just have a few quick updates. One is that closed captioning is now up and running in Galt. So I believe all member agency meetings are closed captioned. Diane, correct me if I'm wrong about that? Member agency meetings?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so Galt was the only one because of technical issues that it took longer to get up and running. And we're still working on the non-member agency meetings that are cablecast by the Commission, and we believe that SMUD will be up and running soon. Also to let you know that the new Metro van is working now. We had minimal impacts. There was a changeover from the old van to the new van. The new van is up and running, and not only is it up and running, but it's also being parked in a safer place in Galt. The van used to be parked on the street in Galt, and that street's gotten busier and busier, so that was a danger to Metro Cable staff. And that van is now we have a new van, and it's parked in a better location, at least for Galt. So I think those are all positive improvements, and the Metro Cable staff has done a great job in working on that. Also wanted to report that the June is our budget meeting, and if there are any changes or new information that your commission desires, just want to let you know that you certainly can let me know between now and June. And I believe that's all my status reports.
Any questions?
Move to adopt the resolutions under item 4.
Second.
A second.
Motion. There was already a motion, a second over here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Item number 5.
We have channel licensee grantee status presentations, and we have an additional presentation request from Access Sacramento on funding. And we have several speaker requests as well as possible action.
I don't know why not.
Okay, and I believe your commission received a request from Ron Cooper from Access Sacramento in regards to amendment to some funding that was approved last June. And actually, probably it would be a good idea maybe to ask Ron to come up and summarize his request. Ron Cooper, Executive Director, Access Sacramento. And I've just passed out a handout. This is about the vehicles and the replacement of the used production truck and the passenger van that are used by Access Sacramento, primarily to create hometown TV events and also Game of the Week events throughout Sacramento County. And the handout I just gave you is a summary, just very briefly, of the events that have been covered, and most of them already shown on the channels, primarily Channel 17. And the pledge as part of the annual grant, and once again, we always appreciate the funding from the Cable Commission.
Ron, you want to take 25,000 and 35,000, combine it to be 60,000 that you can allocate to the two vehicles as the need arises. If that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
So move.
Second.
Gee, Renee doesn't even get a chance to
Renee
talk.
doesn't.
You keep talking.
Are there any did you want to finish, Ron, or are you okay with that? It looks like you're going to be doing pretty good here.
Notice the events. These are all your constituents. 57 events have covered. We pledged 50. We still have 3 months to go. So it's a very successful project. And I wanted to show you, if we can cue up those images, of the vehicles that, with your funding, we have purchased. The first image is the old van. That's what's being replaced. It's a 76 Dodge.
You just lost your second, Ron.
Well, wait, you see the pictures, you might get it back.
This is the 12-passenger van that's replaced it. It's a 2006 van, had about 20,000 miles on it, and we added the decals in the windows, and it works great. This is the RV that was purchased, and there's already been questions about, well, this is Ron's party vehicle, but if you notice there, a large back door was added, those steps were added, entrance into the back, and that the cavity created inside the RV there is sufficient for our racks of equipment to move in, and it's about equal size to our current production truck. There's an onboard generator. The engine, even though it's a 97, only has 20,000 miles on it, and it was completely refurbished by Village RV, and over the next 3 weeks the equipment will be moved from one vehicle to the other. The other thing is that our vehicles are at a community event, and this really offers an opportunity for the community to actually come inside and
Ron, you're buying it back.
Yes.
You're buying it back, Ron.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We get a chance to go camping before we put all the equipment in it?
All right, there's a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Liz Rhodes?
I am Liz Rhodes, Executive Director of Smctc. Very quickly, what I'm passing out now, it's all color-coded, so real quick, all of the yellow schools listed. This is the BestNet list of all of our schools. The yellow schools are all connected and up and running and working. So if you want to see if there's some of yours on there, you can tell them. The ones in that light blue color that are next are all being surveyed. Should be done being surveyed for final pricing by the end of this month, and construction, hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, completed by June. And then the last set of schools will be surveyed beginning January of next year. that's exciting that it's being, the work is being done. Comcast is being great in terms of working with us. Lots of hurdles unanticipated, but moving through. And the schools that are connected are greatly appreciating the service. Sure West is also working with us, has connected 5 schools in the San Juan district, so we're moving ahead with that also. More exciting is how we're using BestNet. One of our biggest projects now is we're looking at the new math implementation for the new framework that's coming out next year. The district's working together on that, especially with the new district coming in, Twin Rivers. How do we, combine efforts, especially with budget cuts, and how does that network being used? How's BestNet being used to facilitate some of the training that needs to be going on? So there's some really exciting things going. In addition to that, just quickly on the channels, we are put our program schedule together already for next year for the fall semester. We've got a huge increase in the number of students enrolled in classes, and we have an increase in the number of classes being offered on cable, as well as a much higher growth in terms of web-based instruction. So technology is really taking off in education. BestNet is filling a great need within the community, as well as cable channels. And with that, I'm done, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Liz, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
For example, the schools that get surveyed by this month, 308, when do they get connected?
They should be connected by June.
By
barring,
June. Okay.
No problems with, we've had, I guess the county has come up with some new criteria for traffic plans and that kind of thing that set us back a little bit. But the goal is to have everything, the second year schools can be completed by June.
Okay. And then is there a time on the third pay, the pink? Oh, 2009 build, okay.
Right, and the idea behind that is if there's any money left over from this year, that we'll start doing the surveys on those as soon as we know that there's some available funding from Comcast within their budget, and we'll move right into surveying the next set of schools. But if there's no funding left over, those are surveyed in January. There's about a 60-day turnaround, and then the build on those. So everything should be completed, keeping your fingers crossed, by, if we're real lucky, April of next year, definitely by June of next year.
Great. Good. Good work. Good progress.
Just a question. So the ones on the pink, the third page, those ones that will be if you have money after the other things are done.
Right. And Comcast has agreed that we spend within their budget up to the 2.6 million, whatever it is that they can incur. So we're doing it the most efficient, cost-effective way possible. So, by the way, the other thing is the schools are in agreement with this list. The schools, the districts agreed to the order in which these were being done based upon their funding and what they had available to match the funding that you make available, as well as to, with all the different budget constraints that are happening, that being set aside for the year. Some schools need another year to be able to have their funding in place for it.
Okay. A lot of schools are going to have a hard time funding anything the way the budget's beginning to sound from the governor.
That's true, but the good news again is we've talked with all of the superintendents, and funding for the blue schools is secure and in place and is sitting, in accounts, waiting to be paid, and some of those districts want to move more quickly on it.
Got another question for you, Liz. Mr. Natoli?
Yep. Hi, Liz. Question is on your handout here, and I know we've talked about this in the past. Arcoe Elementary, middle school, how do they get served? I know they're not in the Comcast service area. And then the River Delta schools that are still in Sacramento County, how do we talked about satellite, talked about fiber optics. How is it that we get?
Well, actually, there's two. There's Alberta. The price tag on Alberta was over $250,000. So what we're doing is we're looking at serving Arcoe and Alberta with wireless.
Okay.
And that is being, I don't want to say it's on the back burner, but it's on the back burner. It's they're the engineers and the technical folks. We've got a network committee. They're looking at it, and we've talked with the superintendents there. River Delta is not part of this.
Okay, and why is River Delta?
River Delta had been talking with SCOE, and they have come up with a solution where originally, we did check with Comcast, they were going to come in through GALT. They were going to do a wireless connection with GALT and then come up the pathway to Elk Grove.
Walnut Grove?
We're not talking with Walnut Grove.
Well, no, they'd pick up that's where River Delta is, Walnut Grove Elementary, Bates Elementary, and Cortland, and then Ileton Elementary and Ileton, all still in the county.
Yeah, and my understanding with that, and I'll be happy to go back and check with
Yeah.
that, is that SCOE worked with them in terms of connectivity through HSN, the high-speed network.
Okay.
So if there are outstanding issues, I'm not aware of them.
I'm not aware of any else. I just want to be sure that somehow those schools get connected to, something that's comparable or whatever. That was my question. So if you could just give me, maybe you answered already with if SCOE has worked with River Delta. I mean, I'm not aware of any issues. It occurred to me, I saw Arcoe, which is farthest southeastern elementary school, public elementary school in the county, and the others are the furthest distance geographically, furthest southwestern elementary schools. And I was just curious about, again, so that young people in those classrooms are given equal opportunity with folks throughout the county. And so if it's being dealt with through some alternative means, that's acceptable. I just was not aware, and this list doesn't say that. So
No, and they have never been on this list, but I will go back and check with SCOE on that, because there were conversations about that, and I'm just not sure exactly where it landed, because it landed outside of the BestNet.
Okay, but you were talking about Arcoe being served by Galt, because Galt High School now is, with the new high school, is only 4 miles to the west of the new Liberty Ranch High School is only 4 miles to the west of Arcoe, and they've added a middle school complex there now. So.
And Comcast, by the way, did check to see if it was possible for them to, even though it's outside their franchise area, to run a cable out there or a fiber out there, and that created more problems than anyone wanted to look at. And that's when we decided that probably the best way was either to lease a line or to do the wireless. But we were trying to come up with a solution that was a one-time cost, which pretty much is wireless.
Okay. Just one other question then. With regards to the Elk Grove District, they have some outlying schools, both Dillard Elementary and Casimas Elementary. Are those schools included? Do they do a download and then do a wireless to those, again, rural elementary schools? Do you know?
No, I don't have the answer to that. I have to check on it.
Okay. If you could, just, again, don't go a lot of extra work, but if you could give me the status of how those schools, again, I leave it to the school districts to figure all that out, but
yeah, and I know Greg Linder, their Director of Technology, is the chair of the SCCC board, and I know that all of the schools are connected, but I'll
in their pitching for it. I was just, again, I'm kind of curious to the outlying elementaries, of which is a handful, half a dozen or so, 3 different school districts, but I'd be curious to know the status, and again, I trust people are, taking that into account, so. Okay, thanks.
And as far as Elk Grove is concerned, I'm meeting tomorrow with Sure West, with Fred Curry and Scott Barber, to talk about the deployment of Sure West in Elk Grove, and that the deal is all of the elementary schools will be served through Sure West. So I don't have a map. I don't know yet exactly where those are.
Newer yet. Well, Mike would know. There's newer neighborhoods that are where you can put all the underground in.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Sabrina Peltier. Hopefully I kind of got that right. Pellissier. Okay.
Just fine.
Thanks for the...
Thank you. I'm Sabina Pellissier. I'm here to give the grantee report for Capital Public Radio. I'm the Director of Leadership Development, and I'm here on behalf of Arla Gibson, our Development and Marketing Director. You have the full report in front of you. I just thought I'd pull out a few highlights. I know time is of the essence. I'm sensing that in the room. Our first most exciting thing is we've added 2 new reporters, a healthcare reporter full-time, Kelly Weiss and Ben Adler, who will provide expanded local news and election coverage. We're excited about that. We've also added concentrated traffic reporting system, which actually has an interactive web component. Users will be able to customize traffic reports with email alerts. Capital Public Radio is proud to have received several awards in the last year. Our jazz announcer, Gary Riccelli, and the program producer, Paul Conley, won the Achievements in Excellence Award for Best Jazz Programming from the Public Radio Program Directors Association. We're proud about that. Our news bureau, California Capital Network, won the California Journalism Award. On the business side, construction of the KXJZ HD radio transmission system is completed and now functional, allowing us to deliver the classical music service on KXJZ's HD sideband. I believe they refer to it as HD2 channel. Our annual audit by an outside independent auditing firm was successfully completed and certified. Always a good day. Capital Public Radio continues to contribute to the community through events including box lunches, which will host 4 free classical concerts held in the grounds of the state capitol this summer, Fridays at noon. KXJZ will present Terry Gross at the Mondavi Center on Tuesday, the 22nd of April. And we continue to participate in the Second Saturday's Art Walk. In fact, that next one's coming up this Saturday. It'll be at our offices. Lots of artwork on display from local community high school students, and we invite all of you to join us for that, 6 to 9 p.m. Some of the projects we're working on for the future, we're bringing the National Oral History Project, it's entitled StoryCorps, to Sacramento. That'll be April 17th through May 10th. It's a really exciting project. We have lots of information on our website about that. And a 1-year documentary project focusing on family farms. It'll be a national project that'll include 5 radio stations altogether. Capital Public Radio will tell the story of a farm family in the Central Valley. Other radio stations from Iowa, Western Massachusetts, Alabama, and the Hopi Indian Nation in Arizona will contribute as well. That ought to be very fun. So we thank you for your continued consideration of our programs and services that strengthen the civic and cultural life of Sacramento. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Natoli.
Yeah, Sabina? Okay, just a question from you on your family farm project. You said in the Central Valley, are you actually looking to one in the Sacramento County area, or are you going to go down the Central Valley? We've got a lot of family farms that certainly are confronting challenges, not unlike up and down the Central Valley, but it would be nice, again, if we're doing a project with Capital Public Radio to maybe select the...
I don't know which family, and I don't know if the family farm has been selected. I know they're just in the beginning of that project.
Okay.
They're going to be focusing on one family farm over the course of an entire year, so it's a very big commitment from the family farm.
Both the family farmer, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was suggesting, again, I'm sure they've got their own contacts, but you know, you have very active farm bureaus in all the counties in the region, and I would think that that would be a good source, and certainly there are some stories to be told out there. And
Absolutely.
I think with the whole emphasis on grow local, and you know, some of the weight that family farms have had to toil under here in the last couple of years, not just development pressures, but just a whole host of things. It'd be nice if we could have one captured that would be, again, I know your listener area is going to be, this could be a national program, but it'd be nice if we had some candidates at least for consideration from this area. So I
will definitely pass that on. I've just heard a little bit about the project. They just kind of gave us an overview.
Sure.
And all that was mentioned was Central Valley, but that, you know, could very well be a farm from
Sacramento Valley or San Joaquin, but yeah. Well, again, as you get information, now you'll keep this body informed, but I certainly would be very interested in the outcome on that. And just my last comment would be just congratulations on the awards, both the individual as well as collectively that KXPR, Capital Public Radio, have received this past year.
We're very, very proud of them.
Great.
Good job. Thank you. Renee Dunn.
They were part of the presentation.
Okay, I got you.
We don't want to go back to voting again on that.
And Charlene also. Okay.
Board members here, yay. Very successful.
All right.
Nice job.
Perfect. Okay, item number 6.
Item 6 is franchisee, licensee, general status presentations, and at the moment we do not have any speaker requests.
Ron, Bob, I got a question. The Comcast person apparently left, but a constituent is asking me if we know if Comcast will carry the Major League Baseball channel in this beginning season. Do you know that answer?
Roger knows the answer.
Okay.
Well, I just was going to say, I believe the answer to that is yes, but I got that email. I sent it over to Pat Bustos Robinson, and she responded directly to the person who,
in my district there,
who sent the email. So I believe the answer is yes, although
I'll confirm with Pat and I'll email.
But I asked her to get in touch directly.
I'll just give you this, Bob, before I leave.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yes, that was a high priority for me.
I figured it would be.
I'll move on to item number 7.
And our last item is public opportunity to discuss matters on this agenda but within commission jurisdiction. And again, we do not have any speaker requests.
Okay, great. Thank you, and adjourn the meeting.
We're adjourned.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.